So for this section, we're going to need some more chassis rails like we used before, the V5 smart motors, bearing flats. We need some shaft collars and some 2-inch shafts. Now once we get our 2 chassis rails, we're going to count in 4 as we did before. And we're basically doing the same thing that we did in the previous video, allowing enough for those axles to go through eventually, our shafts to go through eventually. So just tighten those up. Make sure again that all of your components are tightly screwed in. I'm just doing it by hand here, but you will need to do it by screwdriver. This ensures that if there's any vibration, which there will be, your bolts don't loosen. Also, if your bearings are loose, your robot's less likely to go in a straight line or tend to turn. Okay, so these are basically going to sit up like this, and then our motors will sit inside. Okay, so this is slightly different from what you did in your CAD version. Because we're using the V5 motors, it's not actually going to be a square. The motors are a little bit big, so we need to use larger components. Okay, but what we're trying to do is to line up to allow the shafts to be in the same position, and then that way we know that the cogs will be in the same point. So we'll look for that middle section there. And that will be our guide of where we want our shaft to come through. So if we line up that first, and then we can line up our motor accordingly. Like so. You better twist your shaft a little bit and you'll feel it fall into the hole there. And then line up your screws. Just do them loosely at first, one and then the other, just so that you know they're straight, and then you can tighten them. Make sure your screws aren't too long as well, otherwise they'll go through and they'll damage the component. After that, you can add in your shaft collar. I've added a shaft collar just with a screw, just so you can see what I'm doing, but obviously yours will have the inbuilt Allen key, so it won't be such an issue. Okay, and then we're going to do our second one. Make sure your motor is orientated correctly, add in your bearing flat, and then tighten as you did before. So we want to make sure that as you turn your finished component over, that it's almost a mirror image of what you created before. Again, put on your shaft collar and tighten. Make sure this is tight as well. Make sure it's right down. If you need to get an extra tighten, you can. Okay, and then from there, if we lie it down, we can see that our 2 shafts are in a line.